Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. The
Well, it
pictures.
says 35 years.
Yeah,
that's what
God.
Yeah, it's been, what, 8th
And
grade?
had you not been sitting here signing books, I wouldn't have known who you were. So.
He didn't get any free.
Oh, hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine.
God, I haven't seen you in so long.
Long time.
I am so glad you got.
around the corner from us. He's friends with our
Down off
He's been-
Wichita?
No, South Broadmoor.
Oh, over there. Okay.
How have you been?
Pretty good.
Hi, Sharon. Hello. How are you?
How are you doing,
Good
sweetheart?
to see
Good
you.
to see you, too.
Yeah.
Been waiting for this.
I am so glad you came. Yes, David Beckin.
You remember
Oh,
me?
yeah.
How are you?
Behind the shades, I guess, and a little bit bigger.
Yes.
A lot bigger, no taller.
Of course, I haven't changed at all. I haven't lost
How
hair,
have you
turned
been?
gray or anything.
How is Suzanne?
She was my English teacher. This is Claire John.
Suzanne.
Nice
It's
to meet you.
Suzanne.
I went to all through St. John's.
You know, I took Lester by
She was
Peyton Colquitt the other day, and he got photographs of it, and I thought, I wonder how they're doing. I haven't seen them in so long.
Well, we're in the same house. We've
Are
been
you
there
really?
45 years.
Oh my God. Okay.
my grandmother still living. My mother was in a nursing home. So I put the house up there.
Mr. Litchman to customer service. Mr. Litchman to customer service.
What? Well, you have to come up. I live where all the
Your mother.
I'll show you around. It might use a cane, but I'll show you around.
Well, folks, I'm going to start. I want to say thank you for all of y'all being here this morning or this afternoon. This is a homecoming for me, and it's great to see so many faces I've not seen in a long time. Many have changed, mine has too. But this weekend was important. I chose Mother's Day weekend because the book is dedicated to my mom and my grandmother. My mom, Gloria Ufert, and my grandmother, Joy Campbell, both lifelong residents of Shreveport. So I thought this afternoon what I would do is I'd read some parts of the book that are very appropriate for them, this being Mother's Day, in honor of them. I'll start with a dedication. The account of my life is dedicated with love and admiration to the two human beings most responsible for the man I have become. Each in their own way did the best they knew how and never stopped loving me for the person I was. They loved all that I was, all that I am, and all that I possess of becoming. To my mother, Gloria Edith Riley Ufert, I dedicate this book, for she made the greatest sacrifice a mother can make, her own child. Her deep love for me overcame every other human emotion, seeking only the best possible future for me, her son. I dedicate this book to my grandmother, Joy Vickery Campbell, for she gave the greatest gift an unrelated human being can make, unconditional love. Her guidance, integrity, support, and faith sustained me through all times, good and bad. Her inspiration was the driving force behind this book and my life, giving meaning to both. Their gifts to me of life and love made my life story possible. I pray their inspirational love may give others the hope and strength to overcome their adversities. Now, throughout the book, there are parts that reflect on Mom and Grandma, and I've picked a few I thought were appropriate. After the big D, I don't remember them being in our lives anymore. This was the first time that people disappeared from my world in the face of adversity. One minute they were family, and then they were gone. I would learn over the years to realize that people come and go through our lives with relative ease. Only through concerted efforts on both parties do people become true friends. True friendship requires no excuses or promises, just love and care. After the divorce, when I was 6.5 years old, many of Mom's friends became increasingly important in our lives, especially the Campbells. Joy had been one of Gloria Eufort's closest friends for years. Having first met at the bowling lanes and through other ties such as church, their affinity for each other grew and blossomed into a lifelong friendship. Mom asked Joy to be my godmother. Thank God. Never before or since was a finer person chosen to bear such an unsung hero of a responsibility as Joy Campbell. A devout Roman Catholic, Mrs. Campbell took her godmother duties seriously and gave the love and nurturing she would have given to her own child. She was to become the central figure in my life, and thank God. She helped mold me by demonstrating how adversity builds character. Okay. Let's see. It must have been a weekend, for I was home doing something in my room. The washer and dryer were going, and Mom was sitting on the sofa TV. Her walker was close at hand. Over the last several months, her condition had grown worse. The household chores had fallen pretty much in my lap. She did try to help, but it was just so frustrating for me and for her. Like so many people, I guess it was just easier for me to do what I could and not ask or expect her to help. Grandpa would mow the yard and make any repairs required. He and Nanny would help transport me with the groceries from the store. The vacuuming, dishwashing, dusting, laundry, and cooking had become almost routine chores for me. I tried hard, but at age 9, a child doesn't have the experience or knowledge to do these things first rate. In addition, Mom needed my assistance. There were times when she was unable to reach the bathroom or make it out of bed in time to perform normal bodily functions. For the person who is ill, urinating and defecating on oneself is bad enough, but having to ask someone else to clean you, especially your 9-year-old son, is perhaps the most humiliating experience for our so fragile egos. There was never a time that I helped Mom with this that she didn't cry. For the loved one helping, the experience is both humbling and demoralizing. You want to help because you love them. You know they want to do it on their own. Your heart silently screams, for you see the degradation flooding their eyes, and you know that they hate to ask, but they have no choice. Years would pass before I myself had to endure this, but I can honestly empathize, not just sympathize. There is no measuring stick for the amount of humiliation required to make one snap. Even through all my trials and tribulations, I consider myself blessed, for they have never broken me. I have Mom to thank. In a single desperate act, one that I've never written or spoken of in any detail before now, I witnessed the very source of my life, all that I loved and lived for, want nothing more than to die. She taught me in a single moment the true value of life, love. My arrival was greeted with emotionally charged excitement on Mom's part, and cool though friendly indifference on Dudley's. Her appearance remains in my eye to this day. My mother weighed less than 90 pounds. The wheelchair seemed to swallow her. Mom's limbs were mere twigs of flesh and bone, incapable of providing the strength she needed to move about. Any small wind would break them in two. The wrists of each hand were barely the diameter of a 50-cent piece. Her face, though amateurishly made up, was drawn and gaunt. She resembled a worn mannequin on the way to discount. To make matters dramatically worse, her speech was severely broken and required endless practice for several minutes before she could actually complete a thought or sentence. This made me feel doubly uncomfortable because of my feebleness at comprehending her meaning. As I sit here now writing of the experience, I cannot even begin to fathom how uncomfortable she must have felt, thinking that she was so horribly disfigured and so much more less a human being for her own son to be afraid to visit. No doubt she detected the fear in my eyes, how alone and full of overwhelming despair she must have felt. Yet she made every attempt to communicate and ease my pain. She struggled desperately with every word uttered. I, like so many, attempted to guess her next word, say it out loud, and felt frustrated because it appeared I was doing more harm than good. We sat at the kitchen table because it was time for her to eat. This ever-humbling experience of feeding someone by hand shatters the reality of life. Such an act can dispel every thought you knew about caring. The experience is as close as I can describe to breathing life into another person. It's not the same as feeding a baby, for the baby knows not how and has never had the physical capabilities of feeding himself. Consider that the person was once vibrantly able to do life essential tasks such as breathing or defecating on his or her own. Now they can't. It would be 8 years before I fully comprehended the significance of this experience. Every single item was like mush or pureed, as they say. Otherwise, Mom would have had great difficulty eating. Over the years, she had continued to sit and watch TV for hours while sucking on sugar-enriched cough drops. That, coupled with her decreasing hand strength and lack of finger mobility, which kept her from brushing her teeth, resulted in a mouthful of cavities. Consequently, she had little ability to adequately chew her foods. The feeding process was long and tedious, or so I thought at the time. Is it not amazing how shallow we can be to want to just flee from the discomfort of seeing our loved ones physically deteriorate? Our feelings and discomfort should not matter in the slightest when one considers the alternative. Nonetheless, sometimes it is hard to rise above our own selfish nature and truly give a damn. It is sad, but true. Adversity usually humbles you and hopefully makes one a better person. It did for me. Remembering this last day with my mom shall live with me for the rest of my life. The irony of how the tables turned on me several years later through my own similar adversity taught me that I should never take anything, especially love, family, and life itself, for granted. After a late lunch from Mom, we adjourned to the den and attempted to hold a conversation. There was nothing striking in our exchange to mark the moment, with the possible exception of my internal sadness and pity. I clearly remember my eagerness to flee the situation as quickly as possible, never once considering that this might be the last time I ever saw my mother alive again. Perhaps that is why this visit is so clear in my memory, because I have replayed it over and over 1,000 times. Hardly 2 hours had passed when my need to leave urged me out the door. She had an unusual and most definite sadness in her eyes. Looking back, it is now clear to me that the look was one of longing for a happier and simpler time. Mom knew what I did not. We would never see each other again. And then my last part. When I started writing this book over 10 years ago, I wrote this piece of prose and I lost it. And I thought I'd never find it again. But it was intended to be the last page of the book. And my home health aide, going through my completely disorganized file cabinet, found it just by pure luck. And I'm so glad she did. And so this is the last page of the book. And it reads, "Adversity is a splendid thing. What's wrong with adversity? It proves we're alive. If there was no adversity, life would only be a fantasy, and no fantasy ever lasts. But life can. It is eternal. All of our memories, good and bad, are ours, and they prolong life. All the colors of life, bright and dark, are the rainbows of us all. They make up the glorious tapestry of all humanity. Without a single one, no matter how thin or demure, the majestic painting would be incomplete and full of holes. Never give up. Fall back, retreat, and regroup. Take a break, but never give up. Life and all of its joys and pains for each and every moment is a splendid thing. Well, that's my book. And I am very grateful all of you are here. It is a momentous time for me to be back home in Shreveport. When I crossed the state line on Thursday, and I saw the sign that said, "Welcome to Louisiana," this was going to be a very emotional weekend for me. Last night was very successful. We sold all but every book I brought with me. And today, seeing all of these faces here, this is very heartwarming for me. The television interview at Channel 12 on Friday was my first, and it went very well. And the fact that I can come home and give back to the community that has given so much to me, last night for the Philadelphia Center and today for Centenary Chapter of Literacy Volunteers, means a great deal to me, because my adopted family, the Campbells, and my Jesuit educators taught me noblesse oblige. You have an obligation to give back for the blessings you've been given. And this is my chance, and I thank you for helping me do that. So thank you. Thank you. Now, this is question and answer time, so anybody got any questions? I got answers. I'm not sure the right ones, but, you know.
I have a question. Where did the idea for the cover come from?
Now, on the book was designed, the cover was designed by the photographer who took the picture on the back, same one that took this picture. Now, what I told him was, and you'll read in the book, that my life is, in my opinion, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. And we went through several design changes and alterations until we came up with this. And he did that with Photoshop and was able to come up with that. And he did such a wonderful job that has stuck. And it's actually the genesis for my writing company that I hope to be starting later this summer, called TU Phoenix Corp. And good to see you, John. How are you, Ian?
Great.
So that's where the Phoenix came from. And I feel my life has been a constant example of a phoenix rising from the ashes. So I thought it was most appropriate. And the whole point of the book is to inspire other people that are coping with adversity. And that's the reason every book I sell, a portion of it goes to charity. There's not a book that I sell that a portion does not go to some charity somewhere. So that's my way of giving back, because if I can help other people rise like a phoenix, then Grandma's vision of my story helping other people has fulfilled its purpose.
Do you have one particular charity, or is it just...
Today we're helping literacy volunteers.
So it's just...
Last
you have one that was just near and dear to your...
No, last night was the Philadelphia Center. I've helped numerous AIDS charities because I'm HIV positive. I believe in helping the MS Society because Mom had MS, I've got MS. And I'm a big proponent of education. So the literacy volunteers I think is very important. My adopted family taught me to yearn to learn rather than yearn to earn. They taught me how the importance of reading and learning how to love reading. So that's one of the things I'm glad that Lindsay and the literacy volunteers at Centenary allowed me to come and help them with this. So. Anything else?
So Tom, after having written that book, do you now feel like you need to write another one because of the experience you had while writing that one?
As a matter of fact, yes. A mentor told me not more than a month and a half ago, you write one book, you're a writer. It takes two or more to become an author. And that really is, I mean, I thought writing was the hard part, but the publishing and the self-promotion, that's the real work. And I've got 3 blog radio interviews scheduled for next week, one from Ohio, one from California, and one from Great Britain. And they all ask the same question. Do you have any advice for aspiring authors? And my immediate comment is, okay, now that you've written the book, before you pop the cork on the champagne and you light your favorite cigar, just wait. The work has just begun. The writing part is the easy part. And Sharon Duhan can tell you, she edited the book for me, and she can tell you that after several rewrites and corrections, thank God she didn't pull out her red marker this time. But
I bet she was having fun anyway.
she did have fun. She did, and she did a great job. But the writing part was very cathartic for me. It helped me deal with demons that I had not dealt with. Mom's death, chapter 9, it took me 4 weeks to write that chapter. And Ian, yes, you're in the book because you were there the night of Mom's funeral. You took me out, and so you were there. And the names have been changed to protect the innocent. And but yeah, the writing part was the easy part. Now I'll tell you, there is a sequel that will be started June 1st, and the sequel, I've had several reviews of the book. Most of them have been 4 and 5 stars, thank God. But I did get a 2-star review from a fellow author, and his criticism was that the book doesn't live up to its title of being a helpful book. You go through a lot of problems that you've written about in your life, but you don't really tie it into how it can help other people. And that was constructive criticism that I'm glad he gave me. So the sequel is going to bring all of that full swing. And yesterday we were busy getting pictures from all of my haunts in Shreveport. And I think the second book is going to have illustrations and photographs, which I think would add to it. But yeah, the writing part of it was the easy. There is a 3rd and a 4th book planned. The 3rd book is going to be like a travel log of when I was in Australia. I've already been in contact with several of my Australian friends, and the premise of that, I'm going to do the first half about my year there, and the other half is going to be short sections from each of my friends with photographs about their part of Australia and why their part of Australia is an essential part to a trip down under. The 4th book is kind of a leap. I've not done anything like this, but it's going to be philosophical, and it's going to take texting terms like LOL, you know, and GPS, and it's going to be related to chapters like LOL is going to be laugh your way through life, and GPS is going to be find your way in life. And so there's going to be like 15 or 20 chapters, each having to do with a texting term. And I've got to tell you, someone who can't use his fingers to text, that's going to be a learning experience for me. So.
Did you say it was like 10 years from start to finish? Is that kind of what you say?
Yes. I started this book 10 years ago. And the funny part about it was, I wasn't smart enough to save a backup disk. And a friend of my roommate got on my computer and checked his email, and I got a virus. The entire computer crashed. But fortunately, the day before, I had printed up hard copies on paper. So for the next 6 years, I am sifting through the hard copy, trying to put the book back together. And then, thank God, Lester bought me a Dragon program, because I don't know if any of you have seen the pictures on Facebook with my typing sticks. That's how I type. And that's not easy. You're basically hunt and peck with the typing sticks. Well, the Dragon program, I talk into the microphone and the computer types the words for me. And I wrote more in 6 months than I had in 5 years. So that was a godsend. So, yeah.
You just use Microsoft Word, just go in their word processing program to do that?
I do, yes. And it works with a number of word processing programs. You can even use it to do emails. And now they've got the Dragon program so advanced from its original versions that you can do texting for your cell phone. You can do captioning for photographs. It can even move sections of your emails and things around. It's a very user-friendly program. The only difference is you have to refocus your speech, because you have to tell it everything to do. So, like, for example, if you say Jack and Jill went up the hill, you have to tell it to capitalize Jack and Jill, and then you have to say went up the hill, period. If you don't tell it the punctuation, it won't put the punctuation in, and then you end up going back and re-editing, and it's a monster. You've got to reorient your brain to do it. So.
You might have whipped out the red pen for that.
You're cute too. I wonder.
Yeah.
Get on the phone and say, what do you mean? Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, when I told her that I was using the Dragon program, she said, "Oh, now it makes sense what happened here, because it has a voice recognition system, and sometimes the words you speak into it, it doesn't recognize it, and it creates its own words. It's like the computer has decided what it's going to put in there, and you have to go back and edit it."
I've seen someone that used it and they were saying, "Oh God," and it would always put "0 God."
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. And sometimes you have to worry about the spelling, because the punctuation, the spelling, because it doesn't pick up accents very well. And if you've got a strong Southern accent, or you do colloquialisms, it doesn't pick those up very well. So, especially foreign words that it doesn't recognize. You have to create those into its dictionary so that it figures those out, and you can reuse them in the next chapter. So.
Does it come on
Pardon?
audio?
Oh, yes.
I'd love to read it, but she's got macular degeneration.
Not a problem.
Can't.
The book is on audible.com,
Okay.
and I have to tell you, the guy who did the narration, his name is John Esposito. Fantastic. His vocal inflection, he adds chuckles where there's humor, and he told me on chapter 9 about my mom's death, he had to re-record that chapter 4 times because he was crying in the middle of the chapter, and he had to stop himself, but he did a fantastic job. So, and I have a very dear friend in Maryland who is lost 90% of his vision. I did the Audible book for him because there are a lot of people that could learn from this.
You remember my mom.
Exactly, yeah.
She just can't see very well.
Oh, and
So that's the main thing.
oh, the Audible, just go to audible.com and type in the title, and you can download it. And John's voice is very commanding and very compelling. He did a fantastic job. He brought the book to life. He really did. So. No. It's on Amazon, it's on Barnes & Noble, it's on iUniverse, it's on Kobo, and I think that, sorry? Well, Kindle is part of Amazon.
You can go both ways.
Oh yes, you can. And if you use a computer,